Okay.
Anyway.
And Mayor Stevens, we're ready whenever you are.
Okay. So this is a regular meeting of Hollister City Council at a special 5:30 start time for our closed session item. So before we get into that, can you do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Pache,
Present.
Councilmember Resendez,
Present.
Vice Mayor Deanda,
Here.
Mayor Stevens,
Here.
and Councilmember Morales is not present. Thank you.
Okay, so we turn over to the city attorney to read the items that are on for closed session.
Council will discuss 3 items in closed session. The first, conference of legal counsel existing litigation, pursuant to government code section 5495 Ingrid G. Silac and Alexander Silac versus the city of Hollister. The city of Hollister City Council, and goes 1 through 100, case number CU 2500167. Second item is conference with legal counsel anticipated litigation, initiation of litigation pursuant to paragraph 4 of subdivision B of section 5495.6.9 of the government code. And the third item is conference with legal negotiators pursuant to government code section 54957.6. Agency designated representatives are interim city manager Jim Pia and city attorney Jennifer Thompson. The employee organizations are the Service Employees International Union, Local 521, Hollister's Firefighters Union, Hollister Peace Officer Association, and unrepresented employees.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move into closed sessions, and then for the public that are on Zoom, we will be back at 6:30, approximately 6:30, and move on to the public part of the agenda.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get and start the public part of today's meeting, and I'm gonna introduce our meeting. Again, since we started in closed session, so today, January 20th. It is 6:30. We are in a special / regular meeting of the Hollister City Council and a joint meeting with its successor agency to Hollister Redevelopment Agency. This meeting is now back in order, called to order. I'm going to ask Councilmember Boucher to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Ready, begin. This is the flag of the United States of America, and it's the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we're gonna start with special orders of the day, and this is an appreciation recognition of sponsors and volunteers for 2025 community events and programs. And I know our parks director is here.
Mayor, can I do the process?
Oh, sorry.
There's
There's nothing to it. Thank you for that. I just did let it for that. So we're gonna have the Parks and Rec folks to come up to the podium. I just want to just sort of set the stage for you guys and just say that this is such an important appreciation because part of what this appreciation demonstrates is how important it is for government, private industry, and nonprofits. When we come together, then we're stronger as a community for it. So I'm so glad that we're able to acknowledge that today and to show our appreciation and hopefully, like, you know, as Hollister's history has shown, this type of sentiment with this partnership continues. But I'm going to turn it over to our Parks and Rec.
Hello, Mayor, City Council. Thank you for making this time tonight. Charles Wall, Parks and Rec Director. I'm going to keep this brief and I'm going to turn it right over, but I want to introduce Armando Dina and Raul Gracia. They're our rec team. They've been doing a ton this year working with the community. So I just want to thank both of you very much for doing what you do and thank all of you. We're going to read through the list. We're going to keep this brief. So why don't we do applause at the end once we say everyone's name, and then we'll do a quick photo if you would. And that's that. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Let's take a moment to sincerely thank the sponsors and volunteers who supported our Parks and Recreation program and special events this year. Throughout their generous monetary and in-kind donations, along with countless volunteer hours, we were able to successfully host several key community events and youth programs that brought families together and strengthened our community, including the 4th of July Kitty Parade, Trick or Treat Streets, Breakfast and Photos with Santa, and our youth sports programs. At this time, I would like to announce and recognize our 2025 sponsors and volunteers. So first, I'm going to go with our sponsors, which is Golden Memorial Insurance, Hollister Rotary Club, Hollister Lions Club, Corbin, A+ Tutoring, Renewable Matt Nelson Funeral Home and Crematory, Off the Chain Incorporated, KNS Incorporated, Running Rooster, Focus PT and Gym Management Services, Hollister Vision Center, Extreme Air, Grant Redmond Transportation, Mount Lodge number 166, Target, Mount Hill Foods, Safeway, Local Supermarkets, Grocery Outlet, and Hollister Super. Our community partners and volunteers were American Legion Post 69, Hollister High School Robotics Club, Hollister High School Key Club, and Hollister High School Abbott. That's it. Did you give everybody a round of applause? Thank you for that. So at this time, we already handed out some recognition certificates. You guys would come up and take a quick picture. We would appreciate you guys just for a quick minute.
Okay, we're gonna come down and join you for the photo op. Give us a sec.
One more time. Thank you all so much for doing what you do.
Yeah, Mom, I think you're even the coach. Okay, so I'm gonna allow a little bit extra time for a high school student, Adan Amesqua, to say a few words on behalf of the students that are here representing San Diego High School today. So go ahead, please. Ann.
Hello everyone, I hope everyone having a great evening. I'm the head captain of the Robotics Club, Club. And I want to give our thanks to everyone that helped us pursue this. And also thanks to Parks and Recreation for allowing us to be part of your events and hosting such big events that really impact the community. If you guys aren't too familiar with robotics, we're a group of students at the high school that compete in the first robotics competition. Every year we build a new robot that has a new set of goals. A big thing that we are hosting this year is our own regional competition where teams from all around California, especially the Bay Area, are going to come to Hollister on March 28th and 29th, and it would be great if anybody can show up. Also, if anyone is just interested in the club and see what we do a lot more community service outreach events that we'd love people to participate in. We practice Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, so you guys can come by the robotics classroom anytime you'd like. Thank you.
Adan, can you repeat the dates of that event?
March 28th and 29th.
March 28th.
At the basketball.
Yeah, so let's all join them. I think it'd be so fun to see you guys. And by the way, I've heard so much about you, so I'm gonna do my very best to be there. But you guys are doing incredible work around the world of robotics and my mind is just blown by all of you. So thank you so much.
Yes, we'd love to have you guys there because everyone in this club is going to be Hollister excellent.
Yes, yes, and you're gonna change the world and you already are. So thank you so much. Thank you. So I want to just do one last round of applause to all the volunteers and sponsors. We couldn't do anything without you. Thank you, Evan. Okay, and now we have to go with this. Okay, so we're gonna go on the next item, public input. This is the time for anyone in the audience to speak on any item not on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. Speaker cards are available in the lobby and are to be completed and given to the city clerk before speaking. When the city clerk calls your name, please come to the podium, state your name and city for the record, and speak to the city council. If you are joining by Zoom, please click on the bottom of your screen to raise your hand. If you're joining by Zoom using a cell phone, please press #9. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes per subject matter. Please note that state law prohibits the city council from discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda. City Clerk, do we have any speaker cards?
Yes, Mayor. First speaker is Julia Nordstrom, to be followed by Tony Avila.
I was speaking with one of our community service representatives, and we wanted to discuss whether there was any public remain on the river property. Or if there are any other options for community service. We're just looking to see if there's any projects that you can get involved in with the community service.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Merchant. And as you heard me say, we can't discuss this. However, please feel free to reach out to any of us anytime. All contact information is on the website. Okay, thank you, Ms. Merchant. Mr. Avila?
And Mr. Avila will be followed by Carol Lenore.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, members. My name is Tony Allen, and I'm going to use my time to start off in a prayer. And if I have enough time, I will continue on that note. Heavenly Father, we just come this evening, and we just want to give you thanks and glory. We ask that our community will rise up and be a strong leader in morality, a strong leader in leadership as far as knowing who our clergymen are and women that serve this community for our good. So Father God, we just bow a knee to you, our intent, and we give ourselves to you, Father God. You know each one of us individually, you know us in and out. So again, Father God, thank you for this opportunity that I can come to a public forum and say the name of Jesus. Amen. The reason for the prayer and my concerns was about the last month when I was at the rally, we attended the rally. And now we have widespread chaos in our country. It's because we've lost our moral values, our moral compasses, as people like to say, because what the Bible tells us what is good is now evil, and what is evil is now good, and that is so true. And as I said last month, we're not fighting against the flesh and blood, but against the darkness and principalities of the seen and unseen world. And that's the real spirit that's attacking our nation today. We've seen it this weekend in the church that have been overrun by protesters. That's fine. I have no problem with people expressing their view. That's the Constitution that we live by, and we pray to honor that. And what I'm saying is the church is sacred. It should not be taken for granted, because that's a house of worship where people come for peace. We haven't seen this type of action in our country, but in other countries we have already seen people being slaughtered because of the name of Jesus. So we have been blessed, and now God is putting us through the test. Are we going to continue to survive this country for another 200 years, or are we going to let this go? And our next coming up generation are going to be held with this new movement of socialism, communism, and such Islamism. So with these isms, we have to stand strong. And I know each one of you up front have some sort of relationship with God. So I ask that you will be leaders in our community for peace in the demonstrations. And again, we all have to practice our personal independence. So again, I thank you all very much for your service and what you're doing for our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Avila. Next speaker?
Our next speaker is Carol Lenore.
Hello, good evening, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to request,
Miss
Can
Lenore,
you-
you can go ahead and start.
okay, you ready? You hear me?
Yes.
I already started. Okay. I just wanted to ask the council to consider a little TLC downtown on the street lights on San Benito Street, as well as the ones that are crisscrossing above. I really love them. I think those lights give us a lot of light for extra safety. And then also, I wondered if we could have staff, maybe I should have called them first, check the hook lights, those green hook lights. I see a few of them out. And you have some street and some tree lights out on the new ones you just did on the side streets. So I see them at night. Staff's not really maybe down there at night. Somebody could maybe check it out. And then I also would like to request that the council take up an agenda item for the parklets. I think you do discuss them, and maybe you're getting ready to again, but I think a little bit of clarification and something better, maybe we could discuss that. That's all I want to say. Thank you for your time. Good night.
I appreciate your comments.
Those are all the speakers we have for public.
Okay, thank you. Oh, we have one more? Why don't you? Yeah.
It's all scratchy tonight.
And we have Lulu. Right speak.
Notice.
You never know, hoping that was just loose out and keep it.
I wanted to bring up a topic that's been discussed before, and that's to do with our sewer systems. This now is very strong, especially on that's what the zone of the sewer is. I think we will. How toxic is it to smell sewer?
And it says contains smelling sewer gas in a town indicates a serious environmental issue as it contains toxic components like hydrogen, sulfide, and methane, causing respiratory irritation, headaches, nausea, and dizziness. There's a whole list of things. I just feel like this is something that's been brought up before. It's been brought up probably about a year ago. Studies. We asked what studies were done. When was the last time that a study was done for sewer systems? We got no answer to that. I think it had been years. So it's something that if you're not on that side of the town, you're not smelling it. But if you are, you're not just smelling it. When you turn on your faucets, your water faucets to run water, you can smell it coming out of that. So I'm just wondering what is being done since it's been discussed before. Has anything been done? And what do you plan on doing about it? And that's all.
That's it. Okay, thank you, Lulu. And again, as I said to another speaker, like we can't talk about this item because it's not on the agenda.
Right.
However, please feel free to reach out to any of us on the council, and we can have some specific conversations. on-
Definitely will.
Okay.
Mayor Roxanne. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you, Lulu. Any other speakers, Jen?
Those are all the speakers.
Okay, okay, good. So we're going to move on to the next item. So we're at the consent agenda. Do any of the members of council have any brief questions or comments on any item on the consent agenda? Okay, I'm not seeing any. So do we have any public comments on this?
There are no public comments on any of the consent agenda items.
Okay, okay. So then I'm going to ask for motion from one of my fellow council members.
Make a motion to move the consent agenda?
Can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that one, the consent calendar then was passed 5-0. So we're going to go ahead and move on then to the next item, which is a public hearing. This is item 9.1, water rate study, public hearing and adjustments to water rates. Can we have a staff report, please?
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. As you recall, this came before you in October, at which time you gave us direction to take part in the public process, which is Prop 218. And so we mailed out to all the utility users of water in Hollister. And you'll hear more of this. I'm about to introduce Mr. Gagnon again. And that happened in early December. And so this meeting culminates that public hearing process. And so without any further ado, and also Javier, our Public Works Director, is on hand if needed. But if we can get Steve for a presentation, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
There he is.
And I'm trying to share my screen.
Okay, we're seeing it. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Steve Gagnon with Raftellus, and I've been helping water and wastewater agencies and cities develop financial plans and set rates for about 17 years in California. And I've been working with your city staff on a water rate study. And I'm trying to switch. Oh. My screen is frozen. Whoopsie daisy. Okay, I think you can see my second slide, which says, what is a rate study? Is that correct?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So first, let me define what a rate study is. It's a financial planning and rate setting process that first and foremost strives to promote a viable utility. And that means we try to recover all the costs of the utility. That includes operating operating and maintenance costs, capital costs, reserves, and debt service. A rate study often achieves community objectives, such as you may want your rates to send a conservation signal, you may want them to be as affordable as possible, and you may want to promote rate stability and revenue stability. And then lastly, when we develop rates, we want to make sure that they're legal, and that means that they meet Prop 218. There are 5 steps in a water rate study, and we've gone through all the steps, and tonight we're at step 5, which is your customers have been noticed. Tonight is the public hearing. The clerk will collect and count protests, and tonight you will consider whether or not to adopt the rates and charges. So why would Hollister do a water rate study? Essentially, it's because your rates must keep up with your cost to operate the water utility. I just want to point out that a utility service is not like other government services, such as police, fire, or parks. These are funded by tax dollars from the general fund. A water utility is an enterprise fund. It is funded by customer rate revenue. So it's essentially a nonprofit business whose goal is simply to cover its costs and stand on its own 2 feet. This next slide is probably one of the most important. It answers the question why. Why do we have to do this, and why can't we just ignore this and the problem will go away? Well, the city has not raised its rates since 2018. And a simple question is, what products or services can you think of that have either stayed the same or gone down in price since 2018? Not many. Since I knew I was going to ask this question, I Googled it, and actually TVs and computers have gone down, but most everything has gone up. Most everything else has gone up. Moving on to the second line here, your water utility is currently operating at a deficit. That means that the revenue coming in is not enough to cover your costs. And we all know this is not a sustainable way to operate a water utility. Something needs to be done. I'll show you in a second that the city has the lowest charges around out of a survey of 8 surrounding agencies. We all know that inflation reached highs right after COVID. It reached 40-year highs. And this impacted the cost of you to serve water. It impacted what you pay for materials, your labor, your pipes, your tanks, and your construction costs have all gone up since COVID. It doesn't help that we had 2 years of rain in California. And unfortunately, when it rains a lot, people don't water as much, their lawns as much, and you're selling 12% less water than you did in 2021. This isn't the major reason why you need to increase rates, but it certainly doesn't help when your revenue goes down. As you know, the water utility buys water, and your urban JPA costs have gone up 48% since 2018, and your groundwater costs from San Benito have gone up 175% since 2018. And your rate revenue pays for this water. And lastly, you have some projects that you would like to do. I'll show you those projects in an upcoming slide. So this is what I mentioned earlier. You are currently right here on the leftmost portion of this graph. This is a graph of what a typical single-family home pays for water compared to your neighbors. You are in this yellow, I'm assuming you can see my cursor, you are this lowest yellow bar here on the left. If you were to accept this proposal this evening, you would move to the red box, if you will. That's alternative 2. And I'll point out that you essentially would be at the same price as your neighbor, the Sunny Slope Water District, and it's the same water. And I just want to point out that what I understand in working from your prior city manager is that Sunny Slope is a newer area of your city, if you will, which means its pipes and so on are newer, and the city of Hollister is a lot older. So I would argue that at a minimum it should be equal, but it actually should be more because you have older pipes that require more maintenance and more capital reinvestment than a newer area such as Sunny Slope. This graph simply shows what water and sewer rates are doing across the country. This is a national survey, and water and sewer is following the blue line in this graph. And you can see it's outpacing most well, all other goods, you can see there's garbage here in the brown, electricity is in the orange. The general CPI basket of goods tracked by the Bureau of Labor Statistics is in gray. So this is just, this gray line is most other goods. You can see water and sewer is outpacing everything else in the country. And the general reason for this that's provided is that as a country, we have a lot of buried water and sewer infrastructure that is anywhere, depending on your city, anywhere from 50 to 120 years old and needs to be reinvested in. This is what Prop 218 says. I won't read each box. It maybe just to read one or two. It says you can't collect more than what you need to operate the utility, and that revenue has to stay in the water utility. It can't be used for anything else. So let's talk about a few of the assumptions that we make when we do a financial plan for a utility. The first thing we do is all utilities have reserve targets, and we plan for that during a rate study. That is, we plan your rates such that your revenue will build reserves. This is what your reserve targets are, and they're very typical. You have an O&M reserve, if you will, an operating reserve of 20% of your operating expenses. That's around $2 million. And then you have a capital reserve, which is very common to have it at 2% of your asset value. That's another $2 million. So all said, the city should aim to have somewhere around $4 million in reserves. And as you'll see in a second, you don't have that. But we're going to strive to get there. This is your O&M expenses that will be covered by your rate revenue. You can see it's anywhere from 11 to, by the end of the study period, which is fiscal year 2030, it's around $13.5 million. That's O&M. If you remember, several months back, we put two alternatives in front of City Council, and the top alternative, the one that was selected was alternative 2, and that's in the red box here. So we are increasing your revenue by the percentages shown where my cursor is, 60%, 40%, followed by a series of 2s. However, with those revenue increases, you can't do all the capital that I'm about to show you. You can only do what's shown by these percentages here in the second line. So in fiscal year 27, you can only do 15% of the capital that you would like to do. That grows the following year to 20%, then 65%, and then 75%. It also assumes that there'll be a loan from, I believe, your capacity fee fund until your water utility fund gets on its own 2 feet. So here is the capital that alternative 2 can fund. And you can see what alternative 1 would fund above it, but that requires a fairly large rate increase. So City Council chose alternative 2, and you can do the amount of capital that is shown in the red box. So these are, remember we talked about reserve targets a couple slides ago. Right now you have a negative reserve balance of about negative 3 million here. If you were to accept this proposal, your balance would be 0 in fiscal year. It is projected that your balance would be 0 in fiscal year 27. Then you can see you start to grow in reserves such that by the end of the study period, which is fiscal year 2030, here you reach your target reserve balance of about $4.5 million. So over the course of the study, which is 5 years, you go from a negative reserve balance to where you would like to be hitting your reserve targets. This graph shows what the typical bill impact will be to a single family home. And assuming in the middle here, the average use is 900 cubic feet of water and 100 cubic feet is 748 gallons. The typical single family home will see a bill increase of $36.52. Now, if you use a little less than that, if you use say 6 HCF, your bill increase will be $25 and change. And if you use more, your bill increase will be $45 and change. But again, the average home uses 9, so your average bill impact will be $36 and change. For the sake of completeness, this table shows your rates for the 5 years. So you have a fixed charge, which is the upper part of this table, and it shows your current fixed charges. And then you can see they will grow every year for the next 5 years. And then you have volumetric rates, which is you pay a certain amount for every 100 cubic feet of water that you use. And that's shown in the bottom part of this table. And you can see that those will grow for the next 5 years as well. But the bill impact that I showed you in the prior slide takes these rates into account. But I did want to show you what the rates would be for the next 5 years. So to summarize things, the city hasn't increased water rates in 7 years. In fact, it's 8 years now that we're into the new year, and it's long overdue for a rate increase. It has the lowest rates around for an older water system, which is in need of a reinvestment. These rate increases would allow the water fund to get out of a deficit and continue to provide reliable water service. And that concludes my presentation. And of course, I'm here for questions if need be.
Okay, thank you for that, Steve.
Yeah.
Jim, is there anything else that you wanted to include in the staff report or?
No, I think we're going to hear from our clerk, Mayor. I would want to be the first to remind the council, some of you who may be here in 28, 29, we need to stay on track for the next time. Just an early reminder.
Okay. Okay. Jen?
So if you want to go ahead and open the public hearing, I can report on the protests received and give you a little bit more information.
Okay, we'll go ahead and open the hearing. Let me look at the time, 7:03.
So I just want to give you a little bit of the numbers. So the city serves 7,286 parcels. So under Proposition 218, that it requires 50% plus 1 of protests, which that equates to 3,644 protests that would be required. We are required to only accept written protests, so oral protests. If anyone's here to speak during the public hearing, you do need to fill out a written protest form. We have some up here. There's also some out in the lobby. To date, the deadline that was included in the protest, the information, the public notice that was sent out at least 45 days in advance of the meeting, and the protest form that was included, 281 valid protests were received by that 5 p.m. deadline today. So just to give you the numbers on that. So with that, if any else are submitted during the public hearing, we'll count those as well so that you have that final number before you make your decision. So.
Okay, thank you for that, Jen. Okay, so let's go ahead and move forward with any public comments. Do you have speakers?
Yes, I have a speaker card for Victoria Montoya.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Victoria Montoya, and I live on Central Avenue. I'm not here to protest. I'm only here to make a comment, and I want to be recognized that I do care. I did get my mail, and I'm not concerned too much about the increase, but I need some kind of information for low-income people like myself who lives on Social Security. And so if I'm going to be getting, right now it's 129. Well, the increase on Social Security didn't go up very much. Is there any way of educating people like myself how to cut down on stuff? I mean, I try very hard, but if it's going to be increased even $5, well, right now we're paying a lot for everything. So I'm just not complaining, just recognizing that some of us need some help. Yeah. Well, that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Montoya. Appreciate the comment. Next speaker.
Our next speaker is Tony Avila.
Good evening once again. I wasn't thinking I was going to speak tonight other than the prayer. Anyway, again, it's going to be on the backs of the taxpayers, constantly increasing. For poor management in the past, nothing to say about the future here. But what I'm saying is I believe the gentleman said something about some sort of water district, which I believe I'm in that one, where my water bill is $238 in winter. And if we want to increase it by, I didn't write it down, but I think he said by $60 or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. That's going to put me well over $300. And I am on a fixed income. And I cannot afford to continue to keep paying. We're the highest state in all utilities. And now we want to add more on the backs of the taxpayers. I'd like to know where our money is really going. I pay 10 grand a year for property tax, and I'm not alone. And we need answers before, and for me, a definite no, because to put taxpayers burden again, well, I think we as a community need to be wise where we're spending our dollars. We have to be conscious of it's easy to spend someone else's money, but when it comes to our money, that's a different story. So that's all I have to say. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Avila.
Our next speaker is Joseph De Silva.
Madam Mayor, as I have spoken to you on the phone, I thought we had a little bit of an understanding. I'd like to bring to your attention and to the council's attention that I'm a longtime resident of this city, and I go back to July of 2006, where the freelance basically said that the residents need some type of guarantee that this scheme must be implemented and come to fruition. There was a $100 million bond, that people like myself, have supported for decades, and that was to build, the recycling plant. And we were supposed to get a reduction on rate, at about 2016, when the city was more in a position to get a loan to relieve the citizens. I, like those who have spoken before me, now I am on a fixed income, and I have supported this city, to the tune, in my calculation, for about $20,000 over the 20-year period that this bond has taken place. Yet I have never found relief from the city. And now the city continues to want to raise rates. Your predecessor, Mr. Ignacio Velasquez, I contacted his office, and asked why aren't we seeing a reduction on these rates. He suggested to me that the council had contemplated increasing the water, but because we have been burdened by this $100 million bond, that the water rate would not be raised. However, I love my neighbors, all of you, as my neighbors. I love the people in San Juan Bautista. I love the people in Sunny Slope. But they are now taking advantage of what we have paid for. And I don't find that's justified. And I believe that this increase basically comes down to overstaffing, perhaps. You on our conversation, you claimed that the infrastructure needed assistance. Well, I don't have much time to go over all of these matters, because I see that my time is about to expire, but I made it plain to you on the phone, and you never had the courtesy to even call me back. And the question, where do we purchase water? And you said we didn't, that we have 5 wells and they needed to be updated. The piping needed to update it. I've made that contribution already, and I'm not in a position to continue to make those contributions. So I kindly ask that you
Mr. De
reconsider
Silva.
that idea and take it to a different platform.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr. De
Madam.
Silva. Next speak, no,
Those
can
are
we
all the
just,
public-
you go ahead with it?
Those are all the public comments
Okay,
for this
that's
item.
all. Okay, so we will then close the public hearing now that's the last speaker. right?
That's the last speaker, and I do want to make note that I did not receive any additional protests, written protests, so we have
Okay.
281. And just a reminder, 3,644 were required.
Okay, so we're at 7:11 and we're going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the dais and get any questions or comments from my fellow council members. Comments, side comments. Go ahead, Councilmember Resendez.
Thank you. Just to address your comment, Mr. Avila, if you live on that side of town, your water is not going to be increased. I know. Yeah.
No comments. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, Mayor Stevens, I'm so sorry. Anyhow, I do think it's a bit of an equity issue because the majority of the people that are going to be affected live in my district, and they're already on a low income. So not only I'm not going to support it, obviously. I can't. I just can't in good conscience support it. But I do like some of the comments that I heard from the public speakers that if we can get education out. I know that there's like county programs for low income people as well. If we can look at any type of subsidies, any type of support from county, state, we have the state representative for Assemblyman Robert Rivas sitting in here. He lived in that district as well. If we can get some help, because it's an equity issue, people cannot pay their bills. And we need help here in Hollister. So we have a direct line to Assemblyman sitting right here. If we can get that information out to our public, that is a lot of protests. The problem is that there's systems in place that people cannot necessarily navigate sometimes, right? Because they're so complicated. We're only taking written protests. That is a lot, even though it doesn't make the number. And I'm a renter. I live under somebody else's roof. Am I going to see the impact of this? Probably through a raise in my rent too. And I'm fortunate enough to live here in Hollister to make a decent living as an educator. I don't make a ton of money, but it just really comes down to equity. For me, the amount that constituents are already paying, especially the people that live in my district. And I cannot in good conscience support this. Also, I just want to point out, I think it was pointed out on social media. I left before this item last time. It's because I had a funeral to go to that night.
Yeah.
I think that was misconstrued on social media, but that's why I couldn't speak on it that night. But I'm glad to be here tonight and to vote to not support it.
Okay. Do you have a comment?
I do.
Go ahead, Councilmember
Is
Fisher.
Mr. Steve Gagnon still on? Would you be able to put the slide up that shows what Hollister's rates are now in comparison to some of our other local and surrounding municipalities, and how we compare to Sunny Slope Water? That slide back up, please.
Yes.
So I don't even know that we have a decision here. I don't know that we cannot make a decision. It looks like $4 million in the red on this particular service. We're going to operate in the red in perpetuity. I just don't know that that's a way that you can run a city in good conscience. Again, I don't feel like we even have a decision to make. We have to raise rates at one way or another. And yes, ratepayers are the ones that pay for the water. If you're on that side of the town, you're already on Sunny Slope Water, which is right to your right of that red box. We're still going to be less expensive than Sunny Slope Water, which is the newer side of town, which has less aging pipes. Their pipes are just newer. They're not going to have to do infrastructure improvements to fix those pipes. We have way older pipes on this side of town, especially in District 1, District 2. We're going to need to dig those pipes up, which are underneath the ground, underneath the road, and somehow we're going to need to figure out how to pay for that. The city has just gone through an entire year of financial woes. I mean, the state still doesn't have a whole bunch of money to rub together. We went up to Sacramento and we just discussed that with all of our leadership. The city is in the same situation. That water treatment facility needed to be done because we were discharging 15, 17 years ago, too many ppms, parts per million of solid waste. There was just too many particulates in there. It had to be done, and city ratepayers are paying for that. We can investigate whether that was $100 million bond or if it was just ratepayers. But at this point, we've decided to do the lower of the two rate increases. We could have gone whole hog and just gotten to our target, which is about $4 million of some kind of a reserve that when the 4th Street water main breaks again, or the Main Street water main breaks again, look at the business that operate through there. If you think, I mean, do you think that those businesses can operate a restaurant or even a bookstore without water? It's just not possible. So we can continue to chase our tail and fix the water mains as they break, or we can have a plan and then execute the plan. And I think the responsible way to go about it, if you guys were listening to the presentation as I was, and I'm sure everybody's sitting here thinking we might need to rethink this. Right now we're at $43.71, just roughly on average. We are literally just trying to get ourselves into a place where we can more effectively deal with our aging infrastructure. And a lot of us just ran for office, and we ran on fix the roads. Well, when I ran on fix the roads, it wasn't really just the aging road infrastructure. It's all of the underground piping that needs, it's all the infrastructure that we need to fix. Hollister's an older town, and we need to fix a lot of these things that are underneath our ground. So I just don't see where Mr. Resendez, you must be just getting to this, because we don't really have much of a decision. We've got to pick one or two, and we decided to slowly increase rates, although they're going to go up significantly, right? 20%. But if you look at it, when you talk about the CPI, the rate index, the last time we raised rates, $100 was worth $100. So if you bought something, it cost $100. That same product, if you bought it today, is like $135. Are you talking about, this is inflation, the consumer price index. So if you just look at inflation, it's like 25 or 30% higher than it was. It's just going to cost more to provide any service. So my vote is, yeah, we're just, our
Hold on a
hands are
second.
tied.
Okay, let me check on this side. Go ahead, Councilmember Morales.
So I think a couple of things. So I think it's really confusing for our residents who get their water bill, which includes the sewer bill. So you actually have two bills in one. So when somebody looks at their bill, they're seeing the sewer, the bond, and then the water. And so it does look like a $170 or almost a $200 bill. And then with this rent increase, it is shocking. It is disturbing, right? Especially somebody with a fixed income. We do need to do a lot of education in terms of what this means and what is, because the sewer is a completely different, that's very different. And it needed to be done. And so I think I was a proponent of just moving to where we needed to be right now, because when you don't fix the infrastructure, things are going to break. And when they break, they're going to cost, it's going to cost a lot more. So if it's going to cost more now, in 5 years, it's going to cost even more because of the inflation, labor, availability of materials, depending on where they're coming from. However, I did hear this council, you had extremely valid points about this is going to be too much for our taxpayers. A lot of people are on fixed incomes. Maybe we don't fix the infrastructure as quickly as we need to. Maybe we do it over time. We're going to take out a loan from another one of our funds in order to move forward, but that's still not doing what we need to do. Can we move to the infrastructure in terms of being able to do infrastructure projects, please? the slide for infrastructure. One slide back, please.
Slide back.
So if you look at the capital execution and the percentage, if you look at option 1 and option 2, that's a significant difference. The longer we push the projects out for infrastructure, when we talk about infrastructure, infrastructure doesn't happen. A project now goes out for bid. You might see the actual work being executed 2 to 3 years later. The longer we wait, the longer it costs. So if we have some of the pipes break, it's not just the pipe, it's the damage to your property, the inability to have water, potentially maybe some impact to your ability to access a lot of different things. It meant, you know, we're talking about potentially health, we're taking not only property, not only your livelihood or your neighbors. We don't know how long that's going to be. So all of that we have to really consider in terms of how do we do this in a way where we're balancing the infrastructure, the cost now and in the future, and the ability for our residents to be able to handle the cost. So we're trying to balance all three. And so while I hesitated, and I was probably the only one that didn't want alternative 2, my colleagues here had a really valid point in terms of we need to do this slowly because we also need to consider our residents. And we talked about, so what do we need to do as leaders, as policymakers? We need to educate our community about what does this mean, why we're doing it, how does it impact you directly. We need to develop strategic partnerships to see how we can help our residents that are on fixed incomes that don't necessarily understand their water bill or their bill in general. Or if they need assistance, how can we partner with maybe the community foundation, maybe programs that help our residents? Or maybe we need to develop policy to be able to do that. Maybe we do that work. So all these things we need to do at the same time. We need to move all these things forward at the same time. And these are the difficult decisions, but these are the decisions that if we don't do right now, 3-5 years from now, we're going to be in a worse situation. And we won't have the funds, we won't have the ability to get that, and we're going to have to analyze the rates again in what, 2028? We'll write that down. But it's that another study is coming around the corner. So we just have to take situations and handle them head on and be able to move together, hopefully, as a team, as a community, and minimize the impact.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Morales. Councilmember DeAnda, do you have any comments? No, not from the audience, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is one of the most unfortunate things to be up here, but this is one of the reasons why I decided to run. I just think to myself, how did we get here? This should have been addressed. I think the last time the rate study was done in 2018, and why was it not done, and how come rates weren't consistently increased at that time? I think it should have been happening, and because of that, the community has to suffer. I don't think that's fair personally, and I think, okay, $36, but that $36 is somebody's gas, groceries, that's the way I look at it. I know how it feels to be impacted financially. So it's something I think about just as a human. And it's just so frustrating for me personally to have to be up here and to be caught in this unfortunate situation and making these types of decisions. But I just feel it in me, and I can't support it either. Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to ask some questions. I want to just make a couple of statements as well. But first of all, Mr. Presenter, I forgot your name, but are you the same presenter that met with myself and the mayor to give us the presentation months ago?
Yes.
Okay. I asked you a question now. So first off, let me just say that I wholeheartedly respect the majority of my colleagues up here. I really do. I care about them and I respect them very much. Having said that, here comes the but, right? I have been here longer where I've seen this song and dance go down that we just saw. not just from the public, but what you guys just did and what's being presented to us. Let's just keep that in mind. Please keep that in mind. I think that carries some weight. I asked you why Sunny Slope increased their rates by $2 million in 1 year. Do you remember that? What's the reason?
I think so. I think offhand, I don't know. I think staff was going to answer you. I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for you right
Okay, so it
now.
wasn't answered, and I heard from the public. Could be employees, it could be the board members got a raise, could be benefits, right? So if you're gonna sit here and question and then use that analysis to justify the increase on the residents that are telling you not to increase it, you're in the wrong. I'm sorry, you're in the wrong. Number one with that. If you're gonna justify using Sunny Slope increase, that's where we're gonna be. Well, guess what? They are their own entity. They can do what they want with their money, right? You are a public entity and you work for these people. Don't ever forget that. I hear this all the time. This is what's called gatekeeping, right? We're the experts. We need to educate the community. We have no choice. You always have a choice. That's why you were voted up here. And I get real passionate about these things. I understand you guys are passionate about your things too, but I get very passionate when we come up here and you say, we don't have a choice. We have to increase it. Oh no, you guys have to suffer. We're there for you. We'll go ask Sunny Slope why they gave them $2 million more a year. Why did their prices go up? Who's giving that money? Who's pocketing that money? Do your homework, educate yourselves, listen to your public. That is what frustrates me about government. The same song, the same dance, and it's always off of the backs of, no offense, but people like me that are the poorest people in the community. Think about that. And the reason I'm so passionate about it is because I grew up in these systems. I grew up in these systems and I studied them now for a living. So let's go back to some of these comments. You're going to use that to justify your increase? You're wrong. It's confusing for the residents. These are the experts. They're the ones smelling the sewer. They're the ones paying the extra taxes. They come to you. They hired you to work for them. Listen to the experts. Include their voice. That's what you're here for. Don't ever disclude them. I hear this language, and it just really doesn't sit right with me. We don't have a choice. Yes, you do. You can vote no. I told you guys that before when it came to another issue. And again, I love and respect you guys, but I'm really passionate about this. I'm not going to stop talking just yet. We need to plan and we need to fix things. That's scare tactics. You're not going to have any water. The pipes are going to break. No, that's just scaring people to justify a decision that you probably don't even, excuse me, have the education or looked into enough to make. Slow down, back up, find out what is really going on, and don't just believe everything and take it at face value. That really infuriates me. And I know you guys haven't seen this side of me for a while, but I study this for a living. I grew up in these systems. It is not okay, especially when you're sitting up here. Take it very, very serious. Please. You don't have to vote yes. You don't have to vote no. And don't sit here and disclude I think the real experts when they're in the room. I think it's offensive. You guys have lots of decisions, right? You can put it off another month. You can put it off another 2 months. You can ask more questions. There's lots of things that you can do. I'm done with my rant. Thank you. I'll shut up.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Resendez. Okay, so I'm gonna just in the comments up here with my final comments, and I appreciate everybody's input. I'm glad to hear all of the passion from the dais and from our community. This is a very difficult decision, and this is a decision that personally I feel like we're put in this. I think it is a dilemma to disagree with my colleague, because I think this is a decision that should have been made over time with the previous council and previous councils. And now it is almost a decade later, and this decision has not been made. And this is part of why we are here where we're at. I do appreciate the impact that this will have on families. My hope is that the impact will be minimal and that people will do, that we will find ways to help people as needed. But I do think that we are in a situation that we have not raised fees in almost a decade for a service that requires that kind of support in order to be able to provide safe, clean drinking and just household use water. I feel like I do have to support this increase, and it is the middle of the ground increase, even though what we really need to do all the repairs and to do all of the maintenance and to do all of the improvements that we need to the water system at the higher level, we chose to go in the middle ground specifically because we knew that this was a very difficult thing for families to experience, given they haven't had to face this in almost a decade. I think it's easier when you have incremental increases in some of these rates that I think that we experience. It's not easy, but it's a little easier to swallow when it's incremental. So for me, I think that we do have to support an increase, and for those reasons, I'm going to have to support that middle of the ground increase, which is the option number 2. Okay, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and
I'd like to
entertain
propose a motion, Mayor Stevens.
Okay, go ahead.
I think that we need to educate ourselves some more. Again, you do have a choice, and I'm going to ask for you to continue this item to a date certain, but not to make the vote tonight. That's my motion. Thank you.
Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, can we do a roll call vote on this one?
Councilmember Piche,
Aye.
Councilmember Resendez,
Yes.
Councilmember Morales,
No.
Vice Mayor Deanda,
Yes.
and Mayor Stevens.
No.
Motion passes 3-2 with Councilmember Morales and Mayor Stevens dissenting.
Okay, thank you.
We don't, however, have a date certain, so I do think we need to make that. Is that correct? City
Right, I
Attorney?
was gonna mention that as well. So you move to continue to a date.
For the first meeting second meeting in February?
I'm good with that.
Okay, second meeting in February. Okay, then I guess that's the date that we'll go with. Okay, so the items, the items done, so we're gonna just move on. Thank you. I do appreciate all the comments, but I do want us to move on so we can just keep order. So the next item is 10.1, discussion on whether to bring an ordinance amending sections 02.04.050 meetings, and we're talking about this meeting, time and place of the chapter 02.04 City Council of Title II Administration and Personnel of Hollister Municipal Code. So can we get a staff report? I'm not sure if it's Jen or if it's Jim that's giving the staff report or someone else.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This
Okay.
is based on a request made by Councilmember Morales to re-examine the first and third, which is in play, to the second and fourth, not changing the days. It would still be Monday. I pointed out, as you know, in the staff report, that this date has moved now. This would be the third time in 2 years, 2.5 years. And there are risks involved with others. Maybe now it solves a problem or not, but how does your consultants, your city attorney, your staff is also affected by this. And to a great degree, we added a meeting. Initially, I thought this was because of the first and third being affected by the holiday schedule, but now you adopt the meetings in the fall of every year in advance of another year, like you did for 2026. And so I do not think it's an issue, but we brought it back for you to discuss and tell us what to bring back. And so with that, that would be my report to you.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions or comments from council? Anybody on this side of the dais? Go ahead, Councilmember Resendez.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, we're gonna hear from the public on this?
Yeah, we are,
Okay,
but
I'll
I
wait.
just check in first,
Yeah.
check with the public, then
Thank
we'll
you.
do a last.
Sorry,
one.
I'll wait.
Okay. This side, any comment, Councilmember Morales, Deanna, Pichet? Okay. Let's move to public comment. Do we have any speakers on this item?
There are no speakers for this item.
Okay, there's no speakers, so I'm going to close the public comment section. And so let me check over here again. Councilmember Resendez, do you have a comment?
I mean, I would like to hear from Councilmember Morales. I just don't really understand the change, so I'll let you speak
Okay.
first. Thank you.
So I guess it's just like the reason, and the reason that this is, okay, I'm just gonna assume, right? The reason that we had that question is because it was Councilmember Morales that added this as an agenda item. So that was, I think, the point of reference for that question.
Yeah, so I think when we had last year we had a different schedule. I know that it was changed to what it is right now. I think when we had discussion the last time it was changed, we, talked about a different day, maybe a Tuesday. I think staff said there's too much in terms of moving around, so I thought Mondays might be better. I do have other work obligations that I need to do on those Mondays, so this would allow me to do both. And again, it's my request. The council would see if that would be something you want to support or not.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Morales. Councilmember Resendez, go ahead.
Thank you. So there it is. I'm sorry, but I'm on a roll tonight. First off, number one, it's always been Mondays, first and third. I don't know why you're always trying to change the time. Last time I felt like the time was changed to inconvenience me because I'm a teacher and it was done in the morning. Now you need the time changed for you. So that's the real reason. I'm first off, thank you for admitting that. I appreciate that. I really do. But my number one consideration is always going to be what's best for the public. So just, I guess, elaborate more, but like, obviously I like it in the evenings because we have a commuter population, but I'm not trying to like be malicious towards you. I guess like what's going to work. I was transparent when this happened with me. I was very honest about it, but what's going to happen without inconveniencing the public much. The only thing that I'm concerned about, Councilmember Morales, it's always been the first and third Monday of the month. That's my only concern, right? But I'm not, again, like I'm not unreasonable. So I'm just wondering if you can elaborate more on that.
Sure, the time would not change. It would still be 6:30. Except instead of the first and the third, it'll be this Monday, the second and the fourth at 6:30.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't,
Any other
I want to be fair. I don't want to inconvenience her. I don't want to inconvenience anybody up here. I don't agree with what happened with me, but I want to be very open and transparent, honest about that. But that's not my style. That is not my style. If we do that, because again, I want to be inclusive, I just think there has to be a big push to the public to now let them know. And then my suggestion would be, Councilmember Morales, is if it ever were to change, I think it's just important for the consistency to be the first and third. Maybe we can go back to that. That would be my recommendation. But I'm not opposed to it. I'm glad you were honest about it. Thank you.
Councilmember Pichet, do you have any comments on this?
I mean, my major concern about changing it is, to, City Manager Jim P's point, like we've changed it twice now. This would be the third time in a couple of years. We just keep kind of hokey poking about it, and it just is. We keep moving it around. It's kind of a moving goalpost, and I feel like just part of this position is we just need to be consistent. And again, I would like to be flexible for one of our members. What my concern is, I mean, there's a lot of people that live in town, and we are a commuter community. And I mean, I know you're not saying changing the time. Like last time I was the meeting was at 4 o'clock or something, so super early. I mean, most people can't even get off by 2 if you got to get back from San Jose. My preference is to have the first and third Mondays personally, just because
then I can gear up for the next month and be ready for the next month. By having that last week of the month to prepare for the next month of council business. So I'm up in the air about it, to be honest.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Deonda, any comments?
My question is for you, Mr. Pia. How do you think this will impact staff? That's the only question. I mean, I'm open to it. I don't, but if it's going to negatively impact staff, I just.
So I
don't know
haven't
you'd
done a
elaborate.
tally. I will say that I am also, thinking you five are the public servants, and I understand schedules. That's first and foremost. But having said that, you have a staff that oftentimes ends their day at 5 and yet have to be here later in the evening. So that has a cost. I haven't run the numbers on that cost. But you also have, will it affect attorneys, city attorney that has other jurisdictions? Will it affect, hopefully not your city manager who's here at your pleasure? But there are consequences. And so Councilmember, it's a good question. I just don't have all the answers of what could happen with this change.
Would it be a weird request? I guess, can you survey somehow or just, just so, they're supported? Because I'm flexible, but I just want to make sure that we're also supporting staff with this change.
Well, so oftentimes you will see staff here that only have issues in play. So that's oftentimes 7, 8, 9 members. And so knowing that, we can do flex schedules, but I think it's an issue when there are unknowns that even if I couldn't survey the unknowns, and I think that's an issue.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let me just make a comment and then I'll go back to you, Councilmember Resendez. I do not have necessarily a preference. I do worry a little bit about another change and inconsistency, so that gives me pause. And then also, some sort of like not completely 100% behind it for that reason. Obviously, it's important that all of us are here. It's very challenging for us that serve in city council because this is not a full-time job. This is a job that pays a small stipend every month. So everybody has to have a full-time job to serve here. If we wanted that to be different, then we'd have to create full-time employment situations for everybody who's served on city council. The reality is that it will cost a lot of money to do that. So that's the reality, right? So we do this because we know it's important and appreciate the stipend. However, we have to have another way to support ourselves and our families. So these are real challenges for those that serve on the dais. So can I just have maybe, I'm not sure who this question might be, Jennifer or Jim, but say we were to make a decision to make the change, what would that look like? The timelines, the process, notifying the public, what would that look like?
Well, from a legal perspective, it would be an ordinance change because your meeting date and time is included in the municipal code. And so it would require the same two-step ordinance change process. It would be noticed, it would come to a first meeting for a first reading and then adopted at a second meeting. So that's the legal process. In terms of outreach, I would defer to the city manager.
And I've covered some of the outreach on Councilmember DeAnda's question, to include outreach, to our city attorney or to any person in that chair because of other obligations, because of other jurisdictions. And I think that's an unknown right now.
And I guess what I didn't get in that answer was the time frame. So if the decision were to be made tonight, then we have to make the change in ordinance. We have to come back to that. When would that change actually go into effect? What would
defer to the city.
to Jennifer?
Yes, so in order to have the public notice information for the public hearing, in order for the first reading, the first chance that it could come back to be introduced is February 17th. It'd come back for a second reading on March 2nd, and then it would go into effect 30 days after that. So then it wouldn't go into effect
Oh.
until April.
Okay, we're looking at it, and that's the soonest, so it could go into effect later, but that would be the soonest. Okay,
That's
thanks for that. You had another comment, Councilmember Resendez, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to thank Councilmember Deanda for that because we do have to take in consideration, again, I'm not trying to politicize this. I'm totally open to it because it doesn't impact my schedule and I want to be supportive. But take in consideration childcare, take in consideration other city council meetings that our attorney attends to. So I do want to get back to what Councilmember Deanda said. And maybe it doesn't have to be like another month or whatever. Maybe we can have this wrapped up. But I think that we should have some type of a confidential survey put out to everybody that it impacts within our staff, I would say, within our staff. And then let us know. And it doesn't have to be publicly. Well, I don't know. I just hate to put the staff on the spot as well, right? But we want to be transparent about it. Anyhow, I want to know how it's going to impact other people. Doesn't necessarily have to get out to the community. I think we push it out to the community. Are we still doing Facebook lives?
No, it no longer works with our system.
Oh,
we
okay, that's what happened with that.
Yeah,
We're
we
doing
had to disable
YouTube.
it about a year and a half ago.
We have to get more digital. I think we have to get more digital and do the lives. It works with the county, sorry, Miss City Clerk. It works with the county. Do they have a different server?
I believe so. I know that our prior IT director worked on it for probably about 6 to 8 months.
We have a new IT director, so
Yes,
maybe he can
trying
talk to
to
the
get it.
county.
So, and when we talk
But
to
we
CMAP,
need to get more out there, right? So again, I want to be supportive. Maybe it can come back quickly. And at the same time, Councilmember, at the same time, maybe you can see if it's going to be a temporary thing or if you can make things work in another way too, so as to not change everything. But as far as I'm concerned, I can do second and fourth Mondays because I have Mondays blocked off and, so, and if it's a temporary thing, we could do it temporary. I don't know what your circumstances are, but maybe I would encourage you to work with the city manager and then just take into account like everything else that was set up here. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, so any other comments on this side or go ahead, Councilor Morales.
So, just to give you more, it's not temporary. So it's going to be ongoing. And, just I think for some, I know Councilmember Pache, so I think one of the reasons why we moved the meetings to 4 was because I think prior to the adoption of some of the agenda, improvements, we were here midnight, 1 in the morning. And that was regular. I think some folks could not function past 10, and then people were here, staff were here until 1 in the morning. So in order for us just to be able to get through, we moved it up to 4 so we would have more time. So we weren't here past, 1 in the morning. And so it was more about trying to balance the amount of work to be able to, so anyways, that was the change. The second change happened when this new council came forward. There was a date proposed and then it was moved. So it's for you to consider. Again, we all have things in our lives. I have to leave today was a 2.5-hour drive. And again, there wasn't enough time, so trying to balance everything. So I'm making a request for you to consider,
Yeah.
you to evaluate, and then again, it's everybody's decision.
Okay, go ahead.
One last comment, sorry.
Okay.
That was the old council. We were here all night long, attacking, arguing. It was chaotic. It's not the norm anymore. We're gone. We're taking care of it. That's why it was put back, because it was just moved back to its original date. So I just wanted to address that.
Date and time.
So I don't think it was inconsiderate and I don't think it was justified, but that's just me.
Okay, and then so here's what I'm thinking, and I'm gonna check because this is gonna seems to impact you the most, Councilmember Morales. I'm trying to, I'm okay. I think it would be okay. However, I think the timing of it is crucial, and I want to make sure that there's enough time to let the public know. I mean, we also are going to have a new city manager starting, in fact, the date of our next city council meeting. So I think that, and then, there's this request now to maybe hold staff and see what the impact would be on them. So I'm wondering if we can maybe do that, put this decision off And then I'm thinking, given the timeline that Jennifer Woodward, our city clerk, described, that maybe taking advantage of the break that we have in July and maybe having it start in August so that it would kind of ease into it, because already it won't be until like April before that would be like the earliest. But if we wanted to do this poll of the city staff, then we know it's gonna be pushed over now till May, and then we're like into June, and then we have the break. And so maybe if we have a goal of maybe making this go into effect, it may be in August, but maybe waiting to put off the decision until we had a chance to do the polling of the staff. What do you think about that? I know it's going to be a tough next 6 months for you to be able to meet your work obligations and get here. And I done that commute that you're doing. I don't do it anymore, but it's very tough, and I totally can relate. So what do you think about that as an approach to this change?
That's one, and I appreciate that. I think another option is to allow it to move forward. You can do the poll. The poll doesn't take a long time, because that would lead it into March. And then April for the second reading. So you still have 2 months of consideration.
The poll and then notifying the public. So 2 months is really not a lot of time when you think about that. That's what my thoughts are.
I think it is, but again, it's not in my hands. It's on, all of you.
Okay. Okay. So, okay, I'm gonna, I guess, stop the discussion now. Did you have another
Just to
question? Go ahead.
clarify, the schedule that Jen, the city clerk, gave you was based on you giving direction tonight by the time we meet those deadlines. Just wanted to be clear. So if there's no direction tonight, that April turns into later.
I mean, I think at least it seems to me from sentiment up here and what everybody has said that I think we would all be wanting to be sure that we had some information from the staff poll. So I think we want to be able to do that. And I think the staff poll would just be something like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Councilmember Deanna, this originated from you, is something like, if we change the meetings to second and fourth Monday, would there be conflicts in your schedule, or would this interfere with something else? Is it right? That something to that effect. So it's just like, and what is that, right? It's just like a real quick yes or no. It doesn't have to be an extensive poll, and maybe that can be done. I don't know. I'm not really sure the best way to do it, but I think something very simple like that, and then report back. Okay, so I think we want to give that direction. So can I get a thumbs up on that, just on that part of it, for the polling of the staff? Okay, so we're good with that. We want to do that. And then in terms of moving forward with a potential change or bringing it back, then what kind of direction would you need for that, Jen?
We would need an agenda item. So we would need if the city manager did the poll, then we would need to know from you and direction from you to bring back an ordinance. We have to have about a 3-week notice requirement to get it in the paper for
Okay.
that public hearing, and then we would.
Okay. So I'm good with that. Okay, so I think maybe I'm okay with us going ahead and doing that with almost like a draft ordinance that you bring to us. We would then make the decision on that night about the change. Is that right? Yes or no?
So you're wanting to bring the draft ordinance and hold a public hearing once you
Yes.
have the result?
Is that how that?
I think that's fine. You could decide not to adopt the ordinance, but we'd have to notice the public hearing.
Okay. Okay.
Mayor,
And we need to know the time frame you want it.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I think we just need to get a report back and hear about the staff first and foremost. Just get a report back first and foremost. I don't want to waste staff's time putting together an ordinance, putting it in the paper and all that. Like, we just got to get a pulse on what's happening.
Can we get that
That's
poll done before next?
We can do it for next meeting.
Next meeting.
But I just want to be clear. You only want us to poll the staff, not the public.
You're right. I mean, we're talking, because the question was specifically about the staff.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, how would you poll the public? I mean, you asked for people to respond to something, but that's not a true poll. It's just, you're going to get whoever happens to see it and whoever is interested in responding. It's not it's not an accurate reflection of the public.
No, that's fair, but
Yeah.
I mean, coming back to you in 2 weeks, I don't know if I'll have a scientific poll with the staff either, but I will give you something.
Okay, okay. Okay. Is it, okay, so are we good with that? Thumbs up on that? So, okay, we got a thumbs up. Okay. All right, that's the direction then for that item. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next item. So now we are at 10.2, consideration of Planning Commission bylaw amendments. Can we get a staff report, please?
Good evening, Mayor Stevens and City Council. At the last City Council meeting, the council requested that changes be made to the Planning Commission bylaws that give an opportunity for the Planning Commission Chair to meet with city staff to review the Planning Commission agenda prior to commission meetings, and also to provide a process for the commission to recommend items for City Council consideration at future City Council meetings. So we have provided red lines to the Planning Commission bylaws showing those changes. Just as a reminder, the commission is appointed by and serves at the pleasure and direction of the City Council. And the commission does have authority to approve and disapprove certain planning entitlements such as conditional use permits, variances, and specific planned development permits. The commission also approves tentative maps and parcel maps and hears administrative decision appeals. However, while the commission makes recommendations on a variety of other land use, planning and land use items, final decision-making authority remains with the City Council. So as the commission seeks to better understand agenda items before the commission, the City Council would like to allow the chairperson the opportunity to meet with city staff prior to commission meetings to discuss the agenda. So that's been added to the bylaws. That meeting will clarify and ensure that the chairperson understands the agenda items, but it's not an opportunity for the Planning Commission Chair to direct the actions of city staff, as that's within the purview of the city manager. In addition, because the Planning Commission has a unique perspective regarding implications of planning and land use policies, the City Council has asked that the commission be provided with an opportunity to recommend items to the City Council for discussion and consideration. So we've revised the commission bylaws to add a process where commissioners can bring forth recommendations that will then proceed to the City Council for consideration. The process is very similar to the one that the City Council uses to add agenda items. Only in this case, the Planning Commission will add an item to their own agenda by written form, just as the City Council does. They'll do the thumbs up, thumbs down process without discussing the item as to whether or not they'd like that item to proceed to the City Council. And then the City Council, the item will come to the City Council as a Planning Commission recommended item, where the City Council could then determine whether or not they'd like to hear it on a future agenda. So that's the process at a high level. And with that, I can answer any of your questions.
Okay, thank you for that, City Attorney. Questions, comments? Councilmember Resendez, go ahead.
Thank you. And thank you for your work on this. So I don't remember everything we talked about. I just remember we had a discussion with a member of the public, and then we made recommendations. So were all the recommendations included
Yes.
in what you're presenting?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sorry, let me turn my mic on. Other comments?
I know, all this seems,
Councilmember Boucher, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, all this seems rather reasonable, and almost I feel like this process should already be in place. You know, having a chairperson, a vice chair, having a secretary, having the chairperson meet with staff, the clerk, you know, maybe once a month to discuss the planning commission agenda, process by which the planning commission can bring agenda items to the city council. Seems like a good idea.
Okay, thank you for that. This side, any comments? Comments, questions, comments? Okay. Okay, let's move on to public comment. Do we have any public comments on this item?
Yes, we have one speaker, Peter Hernandez.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. I'll try to be right to the point. So this item actually came up specifically because there were 6 recommendations that the Planning Commission had unanimously approved. We basically asked for ultimately the attorney and the city manager to bring those recommendations forward to you, which we got basically roadblocked. They said we can't make any recommendations. To be clear, that's what we were told. And even today, I just got an email. So if this cements to you, really, the issue of why economic development is literally dying in in the city of Hollister, is because there really is a whole gatekeeping system that doesn't allow us, the planning commission, to really steer the ship and ultimately try to effectuate your will, not our will, right? Because we know we're not policymakers, you are. But basically in the email today, it said, "Good morning, Commissioner Hernandez. As both City Attorney and Thompson and I have indicated in the memos, each of us have provided to the commission these items that you have requested to be discussed by the Planning Commission are not within the purview of the commission." They're saying we don't have the authority to talk to you, basically. Therefore, the commission cannot discuss them in open forum. I also would like to read really quick Brown Act, Ralph M. Brown Act. So just to be clear, it sounds like to me that they have more authority over the First Amendment than the public does. I don't see how that makes sense. The Ralph M. Brown Act, according to the California legislature, literally says, in enacting the chapter, the legislature finds and declares that the public commissions, boards and councils, and the other public agencies in this state exist to aid in the conduct of the people's business. It is the intent of the law that their actions be taken openly and that their deliberations be conducted openly. The people of this state do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies which serve them, right? They're under your authority. They're under technically even the commissions are authority because we are an extension of you. We are appointed by you. The people in delegating authority do not give their public servants the right to decide what is good for people to know and what is good for them not to know. The main ask, council, was we have 6 recommendations to ultimately change the planning department specifically. And again, this is not us making the changes, it's us forwarding that information to you so that you discuss it, deliberate, consider policy recommendations, and use city staff to guide those policies and ultimately effectuate your will, which would be, according to the general plan, to implement economic development success. That is the goal, right? I want to see our community thrive. And I applaud you guys for establishing a business commission. That's the first step. I would call the first leg. Part of it, and ultimately these policy recommendations when it came to the bylaws are more specifically because of the roadblocks that we've been ultimately given by the city staff, city attorney. That's just the reality. You don't have to believe me. Look up the minutes, look up ultimately also these meetings. I know I'm running out of time, but obviously I'm passionate about this. I want to see change and I believe you do too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Any other comments?
Those are all the public comments for this item.
Okay, so I'm going to bring it back then to the council for any last questions or comments from the dais. Go ahead, Councilmember Resendez.
Thank you, Mayor Stevens. So the items, I don't know if you know them off the top of your head, but is that under the purview of City Council, would you say? If you know, and if not, I hate to put you on the spot.
If I remember correctly, probably, I think they had to do with city, some of it within the preview, the city manager, and that they had to do with city processes, but ultimately they had to do with city council policy, if I remember. But so the process, if I can, so now if the city council adopts these bylaw changes,
Sure.
then what the planning commissioners can do, any one of them, is go to planning staff, fill out the same form that the city council would fill out if they wanted to add an item to the agenda. It will be added to the next planning commission meeting agenda that's available. The one on Thursday has already been agendized, so it would be the next one. And then the planning commission, it will be added to the end of their agenda, just like the city council. They can thumbs up, thumbs out, down. Do we want this to go to council? It will come to you for your thumbs up, thumbs down. And if you want to hear that item or have staff bring it back, then it will come back to you.
Oh, okay.
That's the process.
Okay, I like that. It's slow, but that's bureaucracy, right? What I would suggest though is, because we haven't had a joint meeting with planning for so long, I would like to hear those items. Especially if it's under the purview of the city council, I'd like for those to be agendized and for us to have a joint meeting with planning commission. To a date certain. I don't know when that is. And then the other thing is, if we could put on the agenda economic development and then the planning process and permitting process as well for that joint meeting. Maybe we can get together for a study session on a Saturday or something. I just really think that I'd love to sit down with all of the planning commissioners and just to kind of to air out our grievances and to see where we can meet and work together to help forward this vision. Because what I really want to avoid is that we have qualified, passionate people that want to make a difference and want to help, and we're not sort of directing or using that energy to do that. I would really hate to miss out that opportunity.
Yeah. Did you want to say something?
I was just going to say that this sounds like an item for later on the agenda, but I think the mayor.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, those are sort of my thoughts. I'm like, I don't know that this is some necessary, anything that you need to deal with, Jennifer, but I do think, again, like, I had a conversation with one of the planning commissioners as well, and about this, and then this idea about a possibly having an open public forum for the public to see as well, a joint meeting, and Councilmember Resendez and I had a conversation about that. So thank you for bringing this up. But this is something that in the greater effort that we have to make improvements in things like our permitting process and the way that we support business, and just in general improve some of the systems within planning and building. I think a joint meeting of the two bodies would be a big step towards that, at the same time as we're beginning the business advisory, all of these in an effort to improve the business environment, the economic environment, and in general, just to be a more efficiently run city. And so any improvements that we can make are important. I think with the beginning of our new city manager, Ana Cortez, coming in, that at our next meeting, I think the timing is perfect because she can step into that and help to support that more, because that will be, I imagine, not just one and done. It won't be just like one joint council and then everything will be resolved. We will have one joint meeting, and then many ideas and strategies and some of the recommendations that Mr. Hernandez alluded to could be discussed during that time as a way to move forward with how we would change policy and then and also impact the day-to-day operations and the systems that run that department. So I think that's a really good idea, and I think that we can follow up with Ms. Cortez on this as well. But I think that is a perfect opportunity to have a public forum, as well as have like a meeting of the minds of the two bodies in a public forum. And a Saturday sounds great. I mean, something that is more like a more public might be more available, certainly not during work time.
I just want to caution the city council just a little. This isn't, I mean, this item of holding a joint meeting isn't on tonight's agenda. So it's something that would have to come back for city council discussion.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
To that discussion.
And I mean, I think it's just the comment is about making sure that we have our new city manager included in that discussion about doing some sort of public forum, and a joint meeting could be a way to do that. So thank you for the clarification, Jennifer. Okay, go ahead, Councilmember Resendez.
Thank you. So I kind of see where this is going, right? But I will tell you, again, I've been doing this a long time. We could essentially suspend the rules and we can give you direction to bring that item back so that we don't have to follow the future agenda item policy that we have. If we really thought, right? Or how do we get this moving is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
We can do it in a lot of different ways.
Well, you can't suspend the Brown Act, and the issue is
Got it.
discussing and deciding, making a decision without.
I feel like it does fall under the purview. So how can we get this done, city attorney? That's basically what I'm asking.
Yeah, no,
We want to give you direction to bring it, but I don't want to have to fill out a form and
What we could do is have a discussion with our city manager, have her put it on the agenda. Honestly, I think that is maybe the way to.
Staff can bring it forward.
Staff
I feel
can bring
like
it forward. Right?
I'm experiencing the frustration of the planning commission right now. Like, what can we do to get this put on the agenda, move forward? Is there anything?
I think the city
else
manager
legally?
can do it.
Yeah, city manager, bring it forward. Like, we can give them direction. We need it.
This isn't the city manager's policy to say receive information reports. Many of you have taken advantage on my short watch of using this exact process. And so I wouldn't deter from this process, because also if you were to take action tonight to the Brown Act discussion from our city attorney, the public wasn't aware that you were going to talk about joint meetings tonight. That's where the Brown Act comes in.
You were city
I'm
manager.
not the public.
You were. You knew we were.
And
So you should have been prepared for that.
I am prepared. You have a process for future agenda items on this
Then you should have
council.
told me that.
Well, you've submitted in the past, you know this, and I apologize, but I want to know, I want to keep the body together that, again, I think I
Okay.
told you this on night one, a manager and attorney should respond to the body of the council, 5 members, not 1 or 2.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, then we will, okay. Okay, we'll work on that. Okay, so let's go back to this item on the changes in the bylaws. Can I get a motion on this item?
Move to adopt.
I need a second. Um, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so this item then passes 5-0. So we're going to move on to next item, which is 11.1 committee assignments. So any council members, if any of you have anything to report on any ad hoc standing committees or any other reports, then this is the time to do that. So let me check in with each member. Councilmember Resendez, anything?
Are you going to report on COG, Mayor?
I could?
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
We both attended the same meeting, so I can report. Go, Piche, do you have, Councilmember Piche?
I do. So the 13th, I was at the Association of Monterey Bay Area Governments. They have been working on, it's a multi-step process, the draft 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan and Sustainable Communities Strategy. So anybody who uses public transportation, has loved ones, people that they care about, folks that use public transportation might want to take a look at that. It's going to have to do with State Route 25, local streets and roads, bicycle and pedestrian use of the public roadways and sidewalks, and types of public transit available, and how tax dollars from the state interact with the 3 tri-counties, so Santa Cruz, Monterey, and San Benito counties. So if you have anybody who uses public transit in any way, you might want to get involved. Public input is tomorrow for the San Benito County focus. It is all on the Association of Monterey Bay Area Government's website, so you can check it out. The first thing is right there that pops right up is the MTPSCS, and might just let everybody know. If you want to go in person tomorrow, AMBAG Monterey is at 24850 Silver Cloud Court in Monterey. If you want to participate virtually in the, the public input component of the draft plan, you can go to www.ambag.org, and it's right there on the website, and you can register to put your, get your ideas out as far as, public transit. So that's all I had.
Okay, thank you for that report, Councilmember Piche. Councilmember Morales, anything to report?
Nothing to report.
Councilmember Deanda, anything to report?
Nothing to report.
Okay, and so the only thing I have to report on is on COG, and the main thing that we did in COG was to reappoint our chair and co-chair, which is Supervisor Velasquez is the chair, and I am the co-chair, which we've been serving in that capacity for the last year, so we will just continue on that. And then the biggest thing to come out of COG, as always, is Highway 25. So we have more discussion about any updates on Highway 25, and as you can anticipate, the movement is slow to that process. However, we are still within the timeline of the plan for some of the EIR studies and some other environmental things that need to happen. So there's some crucial things that need to happen for the spring so that we can move forward on the rest of the design and planning process and decisions that we have to make around Highway 25. But just rest assured that the COG members are very passionate, very adamant, that we have to continue to move forward on any kind of design work for Highway 25 so that we can move that project forward. Knowing that where we're at now because of many, many delays historically with just making a decision about design, we have pushed the prospective completion date of that project like probably years, maybe decades in the future, and cost obviously continue to rise exponentially for that kind of work. But having said that, just know that the members of COG seem to be like-minded in terms of the design that we want to see that has minimal impact on farmland, that has minimal impact on the public itself, and that we are pushing Caltrans and COG staff to move forward in that direction. We also just got a mini update about the opening of the lane that exits onto 101, which everybody who's gone to Gilroy or is a commuter in any way probably have experienced that that opening of that one lane to exit onto 101 from 25. Okay, so that's my report on COG. Did I miss anything that you remember, Councilmember Resendez?
There was the transportation planning, I forget what it's called, that we do every 5 years. Remember the name of that? Anyhow, it was presented to us.
The overall master plan. That's
Master
right.
plan,
Thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah. So there's an overall master plan that just describes all the projects that are for public transportation, for roads, not roads in general, for highways. And so that is now on the website and anybody can look at it, and it has been there for a while, and we received some public comment on that before, and in fact, public input that helped in creating that master plan. So that's on the website as well. Thanks for that reminder. And with that, I think that was probably it. Okay. Okay, so I think that's it, right? Or anybody else have any other committee reports? Okay, so city manager report.
So thank you, Mayor and members of council. Just to remind us all, we are excited as a staff, and I know you are as a council, that the next meeting on February 2nd will be City Manager Ana Cortez's first meeting, and it'll be my last. It now has a big item on it because we continued the water item. It is now on that date because if we don't handle it on that date, we'll have to keep continuing. So I want everyone to be on the same page here on that item. So we're excited, and that's all I have, and we will welcome Ana on February 2nd. Thank you all.
I thought we decided to continue that item for a month.
So for
yeah,
did we give a specific date?
I think it was 2/17.
Second meeting in February, 2/17.
Yeah, 2/17.
I missed that. So
yeah.
Thank you. So
It'll be
that,
2/17.
but it has to be on the agenda, clerk, on 2/2 to note that it's moving to the 17th, right?
I believe since the date certain was selected tonight, then it can go ahead and go to 2/17. I'll check with city attorney.
Yeah, let's check on that.
Okay.
Okay, that's
okay.
all.
Well, thanks for that caution. Yeah, we want to make sure that we're doing this right. Okay. And that's it. Yeah. And so, yeah, next meeting, we will have both Jim and Ana here. So that's going to be an exciting night. So I look forward to seeing the public come here to say goodbye to Jim, our new friend, and then to say hello to Ana. So yeah, so please come and say hellos, your hellos and goodbyes and thank yous. Okay, so I do want to. We're gonna move to adjournment, but I do want to just adjourn. If I'm hoping everybody's okay with this, I'm going to adjourn in honor of Martin Luther King. We just celebrated the Martin Luther King Day yesterday. I was very, very lucky to be able to participate in a regional event that day, honoring his vision for equality and the dream that that we are all continually working to support, that all people are created equal, that they have access to, same opportunities in education and work etc. So I want to adjourn today then in memory and in honoring Martin Luther King and Martin Luther King Day.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
not just to your thunder, I'm sorry, but
Go ahead.
I just think that's, again, thank you for doing that.
Mhm.
I think it's beautiful. I just want to read, if I can, what
Yes,
I
go ahead.
posted yesterday. We're all leaders in our own right.
Yeah, go
Right.
ahead, please.
It says, we need leaders not in love with money, but in love with justice, not in love with publicity, but in love with humanity. That was said by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And just keep that in mind.
Thank you for that. That's a great way to close. And with that, we're going to adjourn. Thanks for that. That was nice. Okay.